Dr. Dre. He'll be back with you from 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. It is 19 minutes past 5, and you're listening to a roundup of the day's news here on BBC Radio Cumbria. I'm Ben Mader, in for Adam Powell just for today. And as I told you in the headlines, new data from the pharmaceutical company Pfizer shows its coronavirus vaccine is 95% effective and safe, even in older people. The jab is expected to arrive in the UK by December, with the company aiming to produce up to 50 million doses globally this year. The updated findings mean that regulators can start to approve its use, as our health correspondent Naomi Grimley explains.
In their trials of over 43,000 people, the Pfizer vaccine researchers saw 170 confirmed cases of COVID-19. 162 were observed in the placebo group versus 8 who had the vaccine. The company says this effectiveness was seen across ethnic groups and ages, with 94% effectiveness in the over 65s. It means the spotlight now moves to regulators to approve the vaccine before it can be used.
Well, joining us now is the virologist, Dr. Mohammed Munir from Lancaster University. Good evening.
Good evening, Ben.
Now, how optimistic should we all be getting about this news today then? Because I know in the past, there's been talk of vaccines and then that's always been rather tempered, but this sort of 95% effectiveness even in older people, it sounds like it's certainly good news. What do you make of it?
Yes, absolutely. It is very encouraging news, and this is the first finalized clinical phase 3 trial data, because all what we had before was the interim partly concluded data, but this is the first conclusive data out of all the front runners that became available. And having 90%, even 90% itself sounds like remarkable, because in the history of vaccinology, we have very few handful of vaccines those gave protection more than 90%. And all those vaccines been extremely helpful. For example, measles virus, smallpox, chickenpox, all those have more than 90% efficacy, meaning that these were the ones have really helped to put the disease on the base. So certainly this is very encouraging and has boosted our optimism.
And we also have an American company, I think, could have been last week, it said it had a vaccine offering nearly 95% protection. So, I mean, in a way, are we, the public, almost benefiting from these great big pharmaceutical companies battling with each other to be the first, with a proven and effective vaccine?
Yes, absolutely. This is a very important question, Ben. I think, since the coronavirus has come, I think the emphasis has been onto vaccine more than any other aspect of the biomedical research. And that is the reason that within 10 months, we have more than 200 candidates being tested in the field. And some are in the preclinical stages, and then some are in the clinical stages. And we have 45 vaccines currently being trialed in human. And out of those, 11 are the one in the phase 3 trial, which is a last stage trial. So certainly there is a competition, there is a business, there is a race. But one thing that is very clear, and that is the role for myself being directly involved into the vaccine development, is to make sure that all the data that would become available is rigorously tested and validated and ensure, because there is no comparison onto the safety. And looking onto the data at the moment is all through the press releases, and all what being said is being said by the companies. But what is more interesting is that when we start hearing about the efficacy of these vaccines from the regulatory bodies, for example, FDA, or here in the UK, MHRA, when they come up and say, yes, this drug is approved and it has this efficacy, that is really the rubber stamp that we will be looking at. But certainly there is no compromise onto the efficacy whatsoever.
And that's really important, isn't it, Mohammed, what you've touched on there, because there has been, in certain corners of the internet, and in normal life, I suppose, people have been reading these anti-vaccine stories. These anti-vaxxers have their say, cast doubt on, on the science. So I guess for people like you, it must be important that there is this sort of solid scientific evidence. So when a vaccine comes out, doctors, the NHS, even yourself can say, we've studied it, we know what it will do, it will work, and it is safe, because that's going to be vital just to make sure people take it.
Absolutely. I take this opportunity to make it crystal clear for everybody that any vaccine that will be approved by the British authorities, which is MHRA, the legal body that approved the vaccine, once it is approved, there shouldn't be any question, and there wouldn't be any question, because the very competent bodies are there which have years and years of experience going through such type of clinical trial data, and whatever come out of that rigorous process of evaluation, there shouldn't be any question afterward. And that is one of the reasons that few of the vaccines have been paused during this clinical trial, because that regulatory body didn't accept that this trial should keep moving until the data is assessed and proven that it is safe. So whatever the question we are asking is asking about the data availability, is rigorous testing and so on. But once it is approved by the FDA, WHO, or here in the UK, MHRA, there shouldn't be any question onto the efficacy and the safety.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining us this evening, Dr. Mohammed Munir, a virologist from Lancaster University there, giving his view on this news from Pfizer that's coming out today, but also that really quite kind of sensible advice really about the vaccines. If they are given the okay by all of the authorities in this country, you know, that's a pretty reliable rubber stamp, and one that certainly Dr. Mohammed Munir would back as well. The time is just